She has a cup of coffee on her desk. It's cold. She forgot about it 20 minutes ago because someone needed something. Her kid, her mom, her manager. It's always someone. She is the single most reliable person in any room she walks into. She handles things quietly, efficiently, and without complaint. Yet despite all that competence, she is statistically the most financially exhausted demographic in the American workforce today. Look at this chart. 81% of Gen X workers report feeling completely insecure about their financial future, towering over millennials and boomers. Add current debt loads and the weight gets heavier. They carry the highest non-mortgage debt. The exact traits that kept her surviving and employed all these years, the quiet competence and the instinct for extreme self-sacrifice, are no longer badges of honor. They are the precise mechanisms keeping her financially trapped. We survived latchkey childhoods by coming home to empty houses and figuring it out. Then came the corporate restructurings, the layoffs, the constant need to adapt. We built a massive improvisation muscle out of pure necessity. Every historical crisis we faced, like the sudden chaos of the 2008 financial crash, required a reactive, real-time solution. You lose a job, you find another. You adapt because real-time survival is all you had. But retirement doesn't work that way. It isn't a sudden crisis that shows up on a Tuesday. It is a slow math equation that runs in the background for decades, quietly collecting the results of thousands of small decisions. That highly tuned reactive strategy completely fails here. You cannot improvise a solution to a lack of compound interest at age 72, especially in a body that can no longer sustain 50-hour work weeks. There is a number that floats around the financial news, an $84 trillion wealth transfer. For many, there's a quiet, comforting assumption attached to that headline. A vague sense an inheritance will eventually fall into their lap and fix the retirement math. This pie chart breaks down boomer inheritance plans. Notice how only 22% plan to leave anything behind at all. Where does that massive gray area go? It gets swallowed up by end-of-life healthcare costs before reaching the next generation. Memory care alone can run $8,000 a month. That single expense can quickly consume decades of built wealth. Many parents genuinely want to leave a cushion for their kids, but a long illness ends up making the financial decision for them. By the time an estate is settled, there is frequently nothing left to distribute. Letting go of that imaginary safety net might feel like grief, but that grief is necessary. It brings clarity. Clinging to the inheritance fantasy functions as a passive, unexamined retirement plan. It quietly discourages you from feeling the urgency required to build your own wealth right now. Now we have to look at the most taboo and devastating drain on those accounts. The reality that working Gen X parents are secretly and disproportionately funding their adult children. Take a look at this breakdown. Working parents spend $1,589 on their adult children each month, while contributing just $673 to their personal retirement. The caretaker schema feels right emotionally, but the math points to a devastatingly low compound interest trajectory for our future. We are making a massive emotional forecasting error. We falsely believe our children need this money desperately right now, while completely underestimating how much our future selves will need it to survive in 15 years. Funding their 20s with your 60s does not make you a good parent. It guarantees that you will eventually run out of savings, becoming a massive financial burden to those exact same children down the road. At work, we absorbed a boomer mantra of extreme loyalty. Keep our heads down, do the hard work, and never rock the boat. But the workplace evolved. Younger, louder millennials aggressively sought mentorship, asked for what they wanted, and completely bypassed an entire generation quietly waiting their turn. The numbers prove it. Over the same time frame, Gen X women received 20 to 30% fewer promotions than millennials. The core failure of our head-down strategy is that in the modern corporate system, extreme competence without high visibility turns out to be completely invisible. The deep, burning resentment that causes is entirely valid. The system genuinely failed to reward your decades of dedication, but dwelling on that unfairness creates what we call leapfrog resentment. It's an incredibly expensive distraction that steals the exact mental energy and time you need to build a real financial exit strategy. When you strip away the workplace, the economy, and the kids, you hit the final internal barrier. The Gen X woman has fused her identity so completely with solving other people's problems that she can no longer separate the two. The people around her exploit this dynamic. Workplaces and families do not relieve the most reliable person. They leave her exactly where she is, indefinitely, because it guarantees their own comfort. This is the profound psychological reason early retirement often feels like a threat rather than freedom. If she is no longer the manager, the caretaker, or the ultimate fixer, who exactly is she? You cannot build a successful, compelling retirement plan around a future version of yourself you haven't even met yet. To secure your financial future, you have to let that indispensable identity die. The ultimate requirement for early retirement is to stop being everything to everyone else, so you can finally matter to yourself.